80+ military Marriage+Double Rebirth+Sweet Pet+Rough man, top mortician Tang Qing was dressed up by a top-tier male celebrity on a hearse, but was hit and killed. At the beginning, she gave birth to a difficult-to-conceive military sister-in-law and suffered a major blood death after giving birth to triplets. She regained her life but was forced to divorce her husband Ji Junze by a rival in love. She's a military husband, and surprisingly, she slept on sleeping pills. Let's leave then. What? Divorce is okay, the baby has to stay. If you want to take your child away, it will cost 10,000 yuan per household within a month. She only became an embalmer in her previous life due to social anxiety. In this life, she fought hard for her child. Isn't it just about making money? With her superb makeup skills, she really made a lot of money. Even romantic enemies and enemies turn enemies into friends and follow her to make big money. Just this divorce matter, how come it doesn't work as soon as it reaches her military husband's place? Ji Junze, you are handsome, but you are not allowed to use your beauty to tempt me not to divorce you. What? You still have 3 children with you, wanting to use sugar-coated bullets. Tang Qing, in the previous life, I didn't catch up with you. In this life, you have to be my lifelong wife. Her military married husband is actually a reborn celebrity from the previous life. Chapter 1. Reborn. And even became a difficult childbirth sister-in-law. You are listening at novel-full.audio. Tang Qing never imagined that she would be killed while putting on makeup for the top male celebrity in the entertainment industry, Ji Yuan. The hearse she was in was broken in 2 by a large truck. That's right, it's a hearse. Tang Qing is an embalmer. 1 second, she was still lamenting how handsome guys like Ji Yuan would die young, and the next second, she followed his footsteps. And this collision, she was reborn into the 1980s. As soon as she opened her eyes, her body felt like a crushing sensation, causing her to scream in pain. Ah! The scream broke through the entire courtyard of the military district. Tang Qing was sweating profusely, panting heavily as she looked at her towering belly. The midwife's big head moved out between her legs, pinching her thighs and shouting. Apply force. Apply force. Tang Qing shook her head, and the pain of being torn from her body made her almost unable to think. The door curtain was lifted, and Yuan, wearing a gray shirt, walked over to Tang Qing with a bowl in his hand. He said anxiously. Tang Qing, drink this. Tang Qing looked up and saw that there was a bowl of black water in the porcelain bowl, with a thick layer of ash floating on it. It didn't look good no matter what. Your daughter-in-law has difficulty giving birth, she must have water mixed with stove ash to be effective. The midwife shouted anxiously, and Yuan nodded one after another. It's just stove dust, I scraped a whole bowl. Come on, Tang Qing, drink it quickly. Yuan helped Tang Qing up and started pouring black-gray water into her mouth. I don't drink. Tang Qing struggled, unwilling to drink anything. What folk remedies can only harm people? Tang Qing tried hard to push the bowl, realizing that she had traveled back to the 1980s. The original owner had the same name as her and was still a military sister-in-law. Due to difficulties, she was painfully killed, and she reluctantly accepted the bowl. If you don't drink, are you trying to kill my grandson and make our Ji family extinct? Yuan's face changed and he reached out to pinch Tang Qing's face, taking black-gray water and about to pour it into her mouth. Tang Qing was sweaty all over, almost exhausted, and looked at the black-gray water reaching her mouth with fear in her eyes. Just as she was about to close her eyes in despair, a deep and magnetic voice suddenly sounded. Mom, stop it. A tall figure rushed up to Tang Qing, snatched the porcelain bowl from Yuan's hand, and fiercely threw it to the ground. What are you doing? Yuan clapped his legs anxiously, but the midwife stepped forward and pushed the man. Men are not allowed to enter the delivery room, they will have bad luck. Get out, you go out quickly. The midwife pushed the man, and Yuan also pushed him. Oh my, Tang Qing's difficult childbirth is just a sign of bad luck. Your future is just right, you can't be hit by these evil forces. Get out. The two of them, one on the left and the other on the right, forcefully pushed the man out. Tang Qing looked up and could only see the man's back, dressed in military uniform and at least 1.85 meters tall, very tall and majestic. He is the husband of the original owner, Ji Junze. Tang Qing closed her eyes, so she didn't have to ask for help. The original owner had drugged Ji Junze, and the overlord forced himself to sleep with his bow. However, he was hit by a single move and became pregnant with a child. She forced Ji Junze to break up with his fiancée and marry her through death, and their relationship after marriage reached an extreme. Oh my goodness, please make me die to the death this time. Unable to resist fate, Tang Qing decided to choose to just lay it up and wait for death, but pitted the child in her belly. Tang Qing instinctively stroked her towering belly, and suddenly felt a small hand pounding her belly. The powerful force made her body ache and she suddenly opened her eyes. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw a handsome face suddenly appear in front of her, with a tall nose like a knife cut, and a deep gaze that seemed to suck people in, so beautiful that it was heart-stopping. This man unexpectedly looks exactly like Ji Boyan. You should know that Ji Boyan is a nationally recognized standard for modeling faces. He can be mistaken for life at first sight and fall in love with a smile. Such a handsome face was right in front of her, and he lowered his body, getting closer and closer to her. Even she could feel the heat emanating from his nose. Ji Junze picked up Tang Qing and looked at his tight arms. Tang Qing realized that her body weighed at least 180 pounds, making her a completely chubby girl. I'll take her to the hospital. Ji Junze's voice was firm and powerful, and he walked out holding Tang Qing. Oh my, going to the hospital is too expensive, no, no. Yuan frowned. The midwife said in a sharp voice, her amniotic fluid has already broken. If you only take her to the hospital at this time, the child will have to suffocate on the way. Ji Junze held Tang Qing's hand tightly and turned his head, squinting his beautiful eyes dangerously. Did you let their mother and son die in your hands? Are you here to bury them? His strong sense of oppression surprised Madame Chan, who dared not say a word more. Ji Junze carried Tang Qing all the way out, and everyone in the military compound received the news that the fat and fierce shrew of the Ji family had given birth, shouting like a pig. Everyone stood at the door, listening with sharp ears. When they saw Ji Junze walking out holding Tang Qing with a silver face, they all hid inside and stood at the window to inquire. Look at her air intake but not air output, she's probably not going to survive. Retribution. Everyone knows how she got this child. If she doesn't behave like a woman, she deserves it. Before, she used to have a big belly and knew how to threaten people with her child. No one dared to touch her, it's really a matter of the present world. The voices of everyone's detailed discussions were all heard, and Tang Qing could hear them vividly in her ear. The original owner was fierce, with little culture. Relying on his wealth, he acted recklessly in the military compound, causing a lot of trouble, and his popularity was extremely poor. Ji Junze's expression was solemn, but his warm palm slowly covered Tang Qing's ear, feeling the warmth in his palm. Tang Qing looked up at him. Is this guy trying to block her ears from hearing those idle gossip? Ji Junze, with a tense face and no words, carried Tang Qing all the way to the entrance of a unit building, where a green jeep was parked. A woman dressed in a red windbreaker, wearing lambskin boots, with big wavy curly hair permed, and full of charm walked out of the car, took off her sunglasses, and looked at Ji Junze with a smile. Junze, I'm back. The woman walked forward seductively, extending her arms to embrace Ji Junze. Tang Qing thought to herself, hey, hello, big sister. Can't you see this huge creature that weighs almost 200 pounds? Ji Junze turned a blind eye and bypassed the woman, then opened the car door and turned his head to speak to her. Bai Linglong, you came just in time. Could you please take my beloved to the military hospital? Bai Linglong. Tang Qing's mind flashed with a name, Bai Linglong, but Ji Junze pursued his fiancée AE for 8 years. More precisely, it was her legitimate girlfriend before being forced to sleep. Chapter 2. What? I actually held 3 children in one pregnancy. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Tang Qing has never been so embarrassed before. Her weight of 180 pounds occupied most of the back seats, and Ji Junze's tall figure was squeezed into a corner by her. And Bai Linglong in the front driver's seat was Ji Junze's former legitimate fiancé AE. Tang Qing silently scrutinized, this beautiful and charming Bai Linglong was truly a perfect match for Ji Junze, unlike her, pure pig head. Junze, I. Bai Linglong looked at Ji Junze's gaze, and her emotions were almost drawn into a solid line. Tang Qing could tell that Bai Linglong wanted to reminisce about the past, and she also wanted to cooperate and be quiet, but the cub in her belly did not allow it. Hiss. It hurts. Tang Qing didn't mean to interrupt. She could clearly see that the small handprint on her belly suddenly stretched out, causing her tears to fall in pain. It hurt so much, so much. Her body began to tremble wildly due to severe pain, and the turbid liquid between her legs flowed out with blood streaks. Bai Linglong, please drive faster. Ji Junze's eyes sank as his big hand gripped Tang Qing's hand, giving her a hint of warmth. He gave a slightly anxious urging, and Bai Linglong bit her lips with some reluctance. Looking through the rearview mirror at Tang Qing's pale face, she slammed on the brake and leaned the car to the side. What are you doing? I'm going to the hospital. Ji Junze asked Bai Linglong in confusion. Bai Linglong directly unfastened her seatbelt, got off the car, pulled the rear door, and pulled Ji Junze down. Bai Linglong, life is at stake. What kind of young lady's temper are you playing with? Ji Junze stared at Bai Linglong with an ugly expression on his face. Bai Linglong pointed to Tang Qing lying in the back row, and blood was starting to overflow from her legs. Her amniotic fluid is cloudy and her breath is disorderly. It takes 20 minutes to go to the military hospital, and she won't be able to hold on. Don't forget, I'm a military doctor. Bai Linglong forcefully pushed Ji Junze away, took off her windbreaker and hung it on the car door, blocking the view inside the car. She then pulled the car door and sat in the car, looking coldly at Tang Qing. Hey, do you believe me? Tang Qing was so painful that she almost cursed her mother. When asked by Bai Linglong, she didn't even know what she meant by these words. Bai Linglong looked at Tang Qing's confused expression and reached out to pry her legs apart. 10 fingers have already opened, the fetal position is not correct. If you drag on any further, both mother and son will die. Bai Linglong rolled up her shirt sleeve and knelt alone in front of Tang Qing. She deftly unbuttoned Tang Qing's shirt, revealing her towering belly. She reached out her hand and pressed it clockwise on Tang Qing's belly. Ah ah ah. She struck heavily, and with this press, Tang Qing's soul was about to ascend to the sky in pain. The sweat on her head moistened her already soaked black hair, staining it once again. I just stole your man, you're taking my life. Tang Qing really wanted to curse her mother. She had never even been in love in her previous life, and in this life, she gave birth to a child when she opened her eyes. It was still difficult to give birth, and the pain made her feel like she was dying. Your fetal position is not correct. If the child is frightened, their head may turn around. If you want to live, just hold on. Bai Linglong pressed clockwise again, and Tang Qing clearly felt that the child in her belly seemed to move. This crime has to be endured in life and death. At least let this little life survive. Tang Qing gritted her teeth and shook off Bai Linglong's hand. She lifted her hand and used all her strength to press her stomach hard. Good brother, if you want to live, just turn your head around. Otherwise, you follow my mother and go to reincarnation together. Bai Linglong widened her eyes and looked at the almost empty woman in front of her, pressing her stomach with gritted teeth. She could even clearly see that the children in her belly had really fallen off. This woman is really a cruel person. Head, you see the head. Tang Qing only felt a puff, as if in an instant there was a feeling of ripe fruits and vegetables, followed by a loud cry in the car. Wow, wow, wow. Listening to the loud crying, Tang Qing's usually hard heart seemed to have been hit hard. It's a boy, Bai Linglong said in a deep voice, holding the child in her hand, but she quickly furrowed her eyebrows. Oh, no. Before Tang Qing could react, she felt as if something had slipped out of her body, and Bai Linglong had an extra child in her hand. With a thud, Tang Qing couldn't even say what she felt. Turning her head, she saw Bai Linglong half kneeling in front of her, while she was holding 3 children in her hand. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, whoa, 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 whoa. Ringing and whimpering. The crying sounds of the 3 children were not the same, with highs and lows, like a mixed sound system, echoing in Tang Qing's ears, making her eardrums almost burst. Triplets. Tang Qing was dumbfounded. As soon as she became a mother, she became the mother of 3 children. Having 3 children at once, big treasure and 2 treasures are both boys, and 3 treasures are girls. You are really lucky. Bai Linglong looked at Tang Qing with a complex expression, but Tang Qing's heart was filled with a howl of sorrow and blessings. Do you want this kind of blessing for you? The next second, there was a nervous knocking sound on the car door, and Ji Junze's voice came urgently. Did you give birth? Bai Linglong, did you give birth to the child? How is Tang Qing? Bai Linglong pulled off the windbreaker and covered Tang Qing's body, opening the car door. Ji Junze saw the 3 children in Bai Linglong's arms, and his expression was clearly stunned, but he quickly regained consciousness and said to Tang Qing. I've really worked hard for you. For a moment, Tang Qing really saw a hint of heartache in Ji Junze's eyes. Feeling heartbroken. How could it be? Tang Qing shook her head. The relationship between the original owner and Ji Junze was almost an enemy. How could it have changed because she gave birth to 3 children? Suddenly, she felt a hot current pouring out from between her legs. She's bleeding, hurry to the hospital. Bai Linglong's expression changed greatly, and he shouted urgently at Ji Junze. Ji Junze also saw blood soaked in the entire back seat. He immediately rushed onto the driver's seat and pressed the accelerator hard to charge forward. Tang Qing clearly felt that her body was starting to feel weak. She looked at the 3 children in Bai Linglong's arms, and the blood relationship was really wonderful. She only gave birth to them through the original owner's body, but these soft and sticky 3 little ones made her unable to help but become soft. Tang Qing waved her hand weakly, and Bai Linglong quickly placed the child on her chest. The feeling of weakness in her body made Tang Qing realize that she was likely unable to pass through the gates of hell this time. Tang Qing took the opportunity to whisper in Bai Linglong's ear. I'll give him back to you. Chapter 3. Ji Junze, I want to divorce you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as Tang Qing woke up, she smelled a pungent smell of disinfectant, and her ears echoed with Li Guoyun's iconic loud voice. Take a look. These are our family's 2 treasures, both of which are boys. Vice Commander Ji is really lucky, triplets. Our entire military compound is the first one. Having both children, who wouldn't be happy to replace them? Congratulations, congratulations. Apart from Li Guoyun, there were also voices from many others. Tang Qing turned her head and saw Li Guoyun holding the bao with a smiling face. A group of people were gathered around her, all of whom were family members of the military district courtyard. Tang Qing lay on the hospital bed, frowning and feeling noisy. A soft, whimpering sound came in her ear, and as she turned her head, she saw Sanbao lying on the crib like a small glutinous rice ball, with a pair of flickering big eyes staring straight at her, her white and tender hands grabbing in the air. Just because Sanbao is a girl, Li Guiyun doesn't even want to hug her. Tang Qing leaned over and reached out to pat her, but her little hand suddenly grabbed Tang Qing's finger. Babbling. She babbled in her mouth, and when Tang Qing was grabbed by her, her small force was like the feeling when her stomach was slapped. Did you make a fuss in my stomach? Tang Qing's eyes softened instantly, and she scraped against Sanbao's nose bridge and asked softly. The little one had felt danger before, so he patted her stomach and asked for help. Oh. Aunt Li, your family's great hero has awakened. A sour voice rang out, and as Tang Qing turned around, she saw a young woman wearing a blue cloth jacket, staring at her with hooked eyes. She is Wang Fang, the lover of a tall platoon leader. She has been married for 3 years and has not had any movement in her stomach. Now that Tang Qing has been 3 in her life, jealousy is about to bubble up in her eyes. Even if you can survive this difficult childbirth, Tang Qing, your life is really big. Almost 1 corpse and 4 lives, being able to ensure the safety of mother and son is a blessing. Everyone speaks 1 word at a time, although they say polite words of blessings, not a single glance carries a hint of sincerity. Li Guiyun held the child with a smile on his face, but his gaze at Tang Qing was icy cold. Where is her fortune? If Dr. Bai had good medical skills and saved her, she would have died of a blood avalanche long ago. Li Guiyun gave a fierce glare, and upon hearing her mention of Bai Linglong, everyone present gave each other a tacit glance. Who didn't know that Bai Linglong was Ji Junze's former partner? If it weren't for Tang Qing drugging and shamelessly sleeping Ji Junze, the daughter.In.law of the Ji family, it would be Bai Linglong. She is the daughter of the White Party Committee, a true high-ranking son. How can a rural person like Tang Qing compare to her? Did Bai Linglong save me? Tang Qing whispered, thinking she couldn't survive, but to her surprise, it was Bai Linglong who saved her. With a creak, the ward door opened and Bai Linglong, wearing a white coat, walked in from the door. Linglong. Thank you so much this time. If it weren't for you, how could my good grandson be born safely? You are really a great benefactor of our Ji family. I will definitely ask Junze to thank you well when I come back. As soon as Li Guiyun saw Bai Linglong appear, his eyes lit up, and he even made a special effort to hold on to Bai Linglong's hand while holding the child. She looked up and down at Bai Linglong, who was a doctor in a military hospital and her father was also a political commissar. Such a family background is worthy of being her daughter.In.law. Aunt Li, this is all I should do. Let's talk first, I'm here to do a follow-up check on the patient. Bai Linglong politely smiled and withdrew her hand tightly held by Li Guiyun, walking towards Tang Qing's hospital bed. Everyone stood beside Li Guiyun, gazing at Bai Linglong's slender figure, all sighing loudly. If anyone can marry Dr. Bai, that would be a great blessing. Li Guiyun shook his eyes fiercely and cursed softly, if it weren't for killing him that day, this blessing would have belonged to my Ji family. As soon as she uttered these words, Bao, who was held in her arms, suddenly grinned and let out a whoosh of urine. He immediately urinated, which made Li Guiyun's face wet. Oh, why did this child pee? Aunt Li, hurry up and do it. Everyone was immediately busy helping Li Guiyun clean up, but Li Guiyun smiled and hugged Bao, saying, my second child is very energetic. Look at how high he's peeing. Ha ha ha. A group of people laughed along, but Bai Linglong had already walked to Tang Qing's bedside. You have recovered well, observe for a few more days, and you will be discharged from the hospital. Tang Qing lightly patted Sanbao with her hand, and under her comfort, the little one quickly fell asleep. He didn't mind the noise in the ward and slept soundly, but his hand kept grabbing Tang Qing's finger. "Thank you for saving me," Tang Qing gratefully said. This gratitude comes from the bottom of her heart. If it weren't for Bai Linglong's intervention, neither she nor the child in her belly would have survived. This is where my doctor's responsibility lies. Bai Linglong paused for a moment, lowered slightly, and said in Tang Qing's ear, "But don't forget your promise." "Promise?" Tang Qing was stunned for a moment, and Bai Linglong frowned and said, "You promised me personally to return him to me." Tang Qing suddenly remembered that she had indeed said so before she lost her blood and became unconscious. Before she could react, Bai Linglong took out a letter from her pocket and stuffed it into Tang Qing's hand. Tang Qing opened the letter and saw the bold and unrestrained pen strokes on it, filled with admiration for Bai Linglong between the lines. In the signature of the letter, the 3 words, Ji Junze, were clearly written, but the date was April 30th, 1984. This letter was sent a month ago. At that time, Tang Qing was still pregnant with a child, while Ji Junze was expressing his feelings to his former lover Yuan. Tang Qing raised her eyes and looked at Bai Linglong. Bai Linglong's slender fingers nervously clenched slightly. "Tang Qing, the one who is not loved is the third party. You must keep your promise and return Junze to me." The ward door was opened again, and Ji Junze walked in with a payment receipt. He looked at the whole room and frowned slightly. "Mom, didn't I tell you that Tang Qing needs to rest? If you're a woman, you have to have children. Why are you so delicate?" The big guy came to see her with all his kindness. "Is there anything wrong with her?" Li Guiyun snorted discontentedly and looked at the payment receipt in Ji Junze's hand. She snatched it over, and when she saw the numbers on it clearly, she immediately exclaimed. 227 yuan. Damn it, is this woman laying a golden egg? She spent so much money. Big guy, take a look, whose daughter.In.Law can spend so much money on giving birth to a child. Our Ji family is really unlucky to marry this disaster star. Son, you shouldn't have chosen this calamity from the beginning. The fortune teller once said, you are the one who gave birth to a son. Whoever you marry will definitely have triplets. Maybe you still have 3 sons, all of whom are like this broom stars, taking away your blessings. The medical expenses of over 200 yuan really hit Li Guiyun's sore spot. She cursed while looking at Bai Linglong with her calculating little eyes. Tang Qing glanced at Bai Linglong, who was staring at Ji Junze affectionately. She grabbed the letter in her hand, sat up suddenly, and stood up straight, saying, Ji Junze, I want to divorce you. Chapter 4. Divorce is okay, BA 10,000 yuan household first. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ji Junze, I want to divorce you. Tang Qing didn't shout loudly, she just said this calmly. Just as soon as these words were spoken, everyone present instantly fell silent, staring at her with an incredible gaze. Is this woman giving birth to a child and being foolish? She finally climbed onto the Ji family, and now she has 3 children. She actually wants a divorce. A woman like her, who is both fat and fierce, can still remarry if she gets divorced and becomes second-hand. The thoughts in everyone's hearts were overturned, but no one dared to speak up, just because Ji Junze, who was beside them, had a gloomy expression to the extreme. That extremely strong aura made these women dare not even take a breath. That. Aunt Li, I remember there's still soup stewed at home. I have to go pick up my grandson after school and leave first. My wife said she wants to eat fish, so I have to go buy fish. Everyone hurriedly searched for an excuse to bid farewell to Li Guiyun. Although they all wanted to stay and watch the excitement, Ji Junze's face turned black, and they were afraid that the thunder might accidentally explode on them. The daughter.In.Law of the Ji family is likely to have gone crazy after giving birth and even proposed a divorce to Deputy Battalion Commander Ji. Tang Qing, why are you crazy? Are you trying to embarrass my son? If we want to divorce, our family will also divorce you. It's not your turn to bring it up. Li Guiyun felt that his face had been ruined by Tang Qing, pointing at her and cursing loudly. Wah, wah, wah. With Li Guiyun scolding, all the big treasures and 2 treasures in her arms burst into tears. She quickly comforted them, but couldn't stop them. Ji Junze walked up to Li Guiyun and picked up the 2 treasures. He hugged the 2 little ones and obediently pressed them against his chest, neither crying nor making a fuss. Mom, you go out first. Junze, just leave her. But as promised, she won't take any money away, and the child belongs to our Ji family too. Li Guiyun viciously gouged out Tang Qing. She had already been displeased with her, leaving just right. Dr. Bai, is the ward round over? Ji Junze's intention of chasing guests was already very clear. Bai Linglong walked up to Ji Junze's side and said to him. Junze, I will wait for you. Upon hearing Bai Linglong's words, Li Guiyun was delighted and immediately took her hand, saying, Linglong, let's go first. Junze will definitely handle this matter. She happily took Bai Linglong out of the ward and even signaled Ji Junze before leaving. Tang Qing could see through her calculations at a glance. She's not the original owner, let her live under the green hat of the heavens, that's absolutely unacceptable. Ji Junze held on to the big treasure and 2 treasures, walked to the side of the hospital bed, and carefully put the 2 little ones back into the crib. I've been studying for a long time these days to learn how to hold them. I'll teach you later. Ji Junze patted the little heads of the 2 little ones and said in a magnetic low voice, Be happy, Mom is awake. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Both brothers still had tears in their eyes, but when they were teased by Ji Junze, they both laughed happily, just like the previous crying, which was all fake crying. Ji Junze, I want to divorce you. Tang Qing reiterated once again, didn't this guy hear clearly just now? I'm not deaf. Ji Junze's eyes turned and he looked at Tang Qing, who was sitting next to her. His gaze was as deep as a black pond, as if he could lure her soul into it. If you want a divorce, you can. Ji Junze and Tang Qing looked straight at each other without any evasion. Within 3 seconds, Tang Qing moved her gaze away with a guilty expression. This guy. Doesn't he know he's handsome enough to break the rules? Which woman can withstand his affectionate gaze? Tang Qing reached out to stroke her slightly abnormal beating heart and said, Okay, then when I'm discharged, we'll go get a divorce. Tang Qing shook the letter in her hand and said that on the day of divorce, he must have been waiting for a long time before agreeing so happily. Ha! Ji Junze breathed a sigh of relief and reached out to unbutton his military uniform. He tugged at the collar, and Tang Qing looked at him from a slanted angle, just in time to see his sexy Adam's apple twitching up and down. The next second, he suddenly reached out to support the wall behind the bed, wrapped her in his arms, and forced her to look directly at him. Divorce is fine, you leave, and the 3 children belong to me. The distance between the 2 was extremely close, and Tang Qing could even feel the warmth he exhaled on her face. The ambiguous atmosphere instantly made her feel dizzy, but his words made her whole body cold. She suddenly reached out and pushed him. Why? The child belongs to me. She went through life and death, giving birth to the soft and sticky 3 little ones. The strong emotions that erupted between life and death made it impossible for her to give up on them. They're with you, what do you care for? A simple sentence, but it knocked Tang Qing down. After the original owner married Ji Junze, he relied entirely on him to support him, relying on his children to act recklessly. He opened his mouth and reached out for food, being lazy and lacking ambition, which led to his weight skyrocketing to over 180 pounds. I can make money on my own. In her previous life, Tang Qing had no concept of making money. She came from an orphan background and always lived alone. She had no worries about having enough to eat for her whole family, and her salary as an embalmer was not low, which was completely enough for her. But now, for the first time, she has a strong desire to make money, to earn a lot of money. Okay, we'll divorce when you earn enough money to support your children. So, how much money do I need to earn? 10,000 yuan. A simple 3 words made Tang Qing bite her lips suddenly. It was 1984. A million yuan household is an absolutely rare species. Whoever can become a million yuan household can be advertised in newspapers. You should know that Ji Junze's monthly salary is only 400 yuan. If you can't do it, don't think about getting divorced. I'm currently in a critical period of promotion and can't have any family problems. Ji Junze said that Tang Qing also understood. He was confident that he would not make 10,000 yuan, so he proposed such conditions to force her not to divorce. Ultimately, it was just for his future. Tang Qing smiled and said, 10,000 is 10,000. Ji Junze, just wait, I will definitely earn enough 10,000 yuan within a month. When the time comes, we will divorce, and the child will belong to me. Okay, it's a deal. High fives as an oath. Tang Qing was afraid that Ji Junze would turn back, so she reached out her palm but didn't notice that the letter ball in her hand rolled down to the edge of the hospital bed. Ji Junze's gaze flickered slightly, and he extended his right hand to strike Tang Qing. His left hand calmly held the letter in his hand. With a loud bang, the two of them struck with both hands. 1 month is the limit, and I am waiting for the day when you become a household with 10,000 yuan. Ji Junze had a smile in his eyes, but Tang Qing believed that this guy was just looking down on her. She had to make a name for herself in the 1980s. Don't fight for mantu, but also fight for breath. Watching Tang Qing's angry expression, Ji Junze turned around and walked out of the hospital room, then opened the letter in his hand. When he saw the familiar handwriting on the paper, his face instantly changed. Junze, have you reached an agreement with that Tang person? As soon as Li Guiyun saw Ji Junze walking out, he immediately approached and asked, while Bai Linglong followed behind her. Ji Junze did not answer Li Guiyun's question immediately, but looked at Bai Linglong calmly. Dr. Bai, I have something to tell you. Chapter 5. I won't divorce her. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is this letter from you to Tang Qing? At the entrance of the corridor, Ji Junze handed the letter in his hand to Bai Linglong. As soon as Bai Linglong saw the letter, his eyes were visibly flustered and he quickly took it over. Maybe I accidentally dropped it in the ward. Bai Linglong's eyes flickered as she nervously put the letter into her pocket. Just being careless. Why did the date of the signature change? Ji Junze calmly said, this letter was written to you 3 years ago, but now the date has been changed to 1984. What would Tang Qing think after reading it? Dr. Bai, don't you need to explain it? Junze, why are you so indifferent to me? You've always called me Linglong. Bai Linglong's eyes were filled with tears as she looked pitifully at Ji Junze and asked. Dr. Bai, I am already a husband and a father. You need to understand this. Ji Junze's voice remained calm and indifferent, and his estranged attitude made it even more unbearable for Bai Linglong. I don't understand. When I was sent abroad to Xinjiang, it was Tang Qing who shamelessly took you away. You were about to break up with just a letter, and I can't accept it. Now that I'm back, she has also given birth to a child, and you already have no feelings. Why continue this kind of marriage? Junze, I know that you always have me in your heart, and you are only responsible to her. Finally, Bai Linglong burst into tears. She is a military doctor and has the responsibility of being a soldier. She cannot leave her post without permission, but now that she has returned, she will strive to regain her happiness. Bai Linglong, Tang Qing and I will not divorce. Ji Junze did not feel any softness due to Bai Linglong's crying. He even instinctively took a step back to distance himself from her. His words even stunned Bai Linglong, but Tang Qing said she wants to leave you. I won't leave her. The certainty in Ji Junze's eyes startled Bai Linglong. She suddenly felt that the man in front of her seemed so unfamiliar, not Ji Junze whom she had known for many years. He would never look at her with such indifferent eyes. Dr. Bai, you are excellent and can have better choices. I just hope that you don't come back to ruin my marriage with Tang Qing in the future. After Ji Junze finished speaking, regardless of Bai Linglong's attitude, he turned around and left, leaving Bai Linglong standing alone in the same place. He actually warned her not to ruin his marriage with Tang Qing. Junze. Bai Linglong called out, and Ji Junze stopped in his tracks. Do you really fall in love with Tang Qing? Because she gave you 3 children. Bai Linglong has already investigated. Tang Qing is fat and fierce, lazy and lazy. How could Ji Junze like such a woman? She can't think of any other reason besides because of the child. Ji Junze did not answer Bai Linglong's question, but stepped up and left straight away. Bai Linglong leaned weakly against the wall, unable to believe that she would lose to a rural woman like Tang Qing. Because she can give birth. During the conversation between the two, Ji Junze did not tell Tang Qing a word. After waking up, she stayed in the hospital for about 10 more days. During these 10 days, Tang Qing had been living unbearably, mainly because she had no milk. 3 children are starving for nourishment, but she just doesn't have a drop of milk. Yuan was also extremely anxious. She brought pig's trotter soup, cushion carp soup, black chicken soup, and other things to drink, and even forced Tang Qing to pinch her nose and drink them. Unfortunately, these soups had no salt or taste, and the fat had a thick layer floating on them. Tang Qing vomited as soon as she drank them, and in just over 10 days, she lost about 10 pounds. The last 3 children could only drink milk powder and didn't even touch a drop of mother's milk. The price of milk powder is not cheap. As soon as Yuan saw the payment receipt for milk powder, she was so angry that she stared at her every day. Although she didn't like Tang Qing, she didn't dare to curse openly in the hospital. Her stomach was all burning. On the day Tang Qing was discharged from the hospital, she simply complained of a headache and didn't want anyone to pick her up. In the hospital, only Ji Junze was busy packing up things for Tang Qing, holding 1 big treasure and 1 small bag on each side, while Tang Qing only needed to hold 3 treasures. Looking at Ji Junze's busy figure, Tang Qing thought to herself that at first glance, he was really a model husband, but all of this was just pretending to be seen by outsiders. When she was hospitalized, he came to the hospital every day. Coming so frequently, I'm afraid it was also because the drunken man meant Bai Linglong. The 2 of them remained speechless all the way until they arrived at the military compound, when Tang Qing solemnly spoke to Ji Junze. Ji Junze, the 1-month deadline starts from the day I am discharged. Ji Junze thought she was going to say something, but hearing her mention made him laugh. Okay, we'll all listen to you. Ji Junze never believed that Tang Qing could earn 10,000 yuan in a month, so he didn't care about the demands she made. That's pretty good. Tang Qing forced a smile, and the 2 of them walked to the entrance of the unit building. They saw a group of people surrounded by Wu Yang downstairs, including men and women, each with a fierce and evil spirit. As soon as they saw Tang Qing appear, these people immediately gathered around. Tang Qing, come with me. A middle-aged woman with short hair tied to her ears and a black headband grabbed Tang Qing's hand fiercely, ready to take her away. Who are you? Tang Qing looked at the woman with a sinister expression, her mind spinning around, but she didn't remember who she was. It was Ji Junze who hurriedly walked out and pulled the woman out. Aunt Zhang, what can I do for you to come to my house, Tang Qing? As Ji Junze spoke, he calmly pulled open the woman's hand and silently protected Tang Qing behind him. As soon as Zhang Huiying saw Ji Junze, she shouted loudly, Ji Junze, I know you're in the limelight right now. Even my old man has a bad eye on you, but today, I must take her away. Don't try to stop her. Tang Qing, this little slut, even dares to provoke our Bai family, it's just seeking death. Hurry up and tie her up, take her away directly, what are you talking to her about? The group of people following behind Zhang Huiying were all shouting, and even a man holding a hemp rope threw it directly at Tang Qing's head, trying to tie her up. What are you doing? Tang Qing was also dumbfounded. She quickly protected the 3 treasures in her arms, afraid that the hemp rope would be thrown on her head, and she didn't know how she had offended these people. Stop it. Ji Junze reached out and threw the hemp rope, tightly holding Tang Qing's hand and staring at the group of people in front of him. If you have something to say, what does it mean to tie people up? This is a military district courtyard. Deputy Captain Ji, don't worry about this muddy water. If your lover does something wrong on her own, let her bear it on her own. Don't ruin your future. The onlookers were all persuading Ji Junze one word at a time. Ji Junze and Tang Qing were both confused. Li Guiyun, who had been watching at home, saw that the situation was about to escalate, so he had to rush downstairs and pull Ji Junze over, pointing at Tang Qing and cursing. Oh my child, don't worry about her. Just her tattered mouth has killed the daughter of the white political commissar. Chapter 6. I help you successfully marry into the Zhang family. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Bai Junwe's daughter. By Ling Long. Tang Qing and Ji Junze exchanged a glance, and both of them immediately thought of this name. Mom, what's wrong with Bai Ling Long? Ji Junze asked in a deep voice. Li Guiyun quickly waved his hand and said, no, it's not Bai Ling Long. It's Bai Xiaoyan. Bai Xiaoyan. Tang Qing immediately remembered that Bai Xiaoyan was Bai Ling Long's younger sister. When Tang Qing stole Ji Junze, Bai Xiaoyan even came to cause trouble during their wedding. She publicly sprinkled a basin of water on Tang Qing's head and scolded her for using medicine to steal men. It was precisely because of Bai Xiaoyan's commotion that Tang Qing's incident spread in the military district courtyard. The relationship between the two has always been incompatible. What's wrong with Bai Xiaoyan? When Tang Qingkai asked, Zhang Huiying immediately rushed forward with people and pointed at her, cursing loudly. You still have the face to ask. Xiaoyan has finally found a partner and is about to get married. It's you, spreading the word everywhere that the Zhang family is going to marry a cleft-lip woman, and your husband is also restraining the family. The Zhang family originally wanted to easily get married, but now they are going to withdraw. Xiaoyan hung herself in a fit of anger. My daughter. Zhang Huiying howled and cried at the same time, and Tang Qing immediately remembered it. This matter really is the main idea. Tang Qing has always held a grudge against Bai Xiaoyan for revealing her secrets. Bai Xiaoyan was born with cleft lips and couldn't find a partner. Now that he has found it, he is still the head of the small department of the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. The man's family finally accepted it. Now that Tang Qing has caused such a disturbance, the more the Zhang family thinks about it, the more unpleasant it becomes and they are about to withdraw. It's a big sin to demolish a temple rather than a marriage. Look at me, big guy. Who can do such a wicked thing? Vice Captain Ji, marrying such a woman back home will only harm people. Everyone pointed at Tang Qing, and Tang Qing's face was also very ugly. She knew that the original owner was hated in his way of life, but she never expected that she would do such a harmful and selfless thing. Unfortunately, this mess still fell on her head. Tie her up, I want her to pay for Xiaoyan's life. Zhang Huiying's red eyes were filled with tears and hatred. Tang Qing had already taken Linglong's partner before, and now she has even cheated on Xiaoyan's marriage. She is really deceiving others too much, even if she says anything, she will pay the price for bleeding. Follow us. The person behind Zhang Huiying was about to tie someone up with a hemp rope, but Tang Qing stood forward holding the child and said in a deep voice. No need to tie it up, I'll go with you. If it really causes a loss of life and this matter is not resolved, the Bai family will not give up easily, and even Ji Junze may be affected. Seeing Tang Qing take the initiative to stand up, Zhang Huiying was slightly stunned. Ji Junze looked at her with a hint of complexity in his eyes. He put down his things and handed the two treasures in his arms to Li Guiyun. "Mom, take your child home first." Li Guiyun's heart skipped a beat and he said, "Junze, this matter has nothing to do with you. Aren't you going to divorce this person surnamed Tang? Hurry up and divorce her. She'll take responsibility for what she did, we can't handle it." Ji Junze ignored Li Guiyun's words and turned to hold Tang Qing's hand, looking at the three treasures in her arms. "Tang Qing, give the child to Mom and let her take it back first." Tang Qing glanced at Li Guiyun behind Ji Junze. She held the big treasure and the second treasure in both hands and couldn't make room. She also realized that she never wanted to take another look at the three treasures, and that her preference for boys over girls was all written on her face. If she really handed over the child to her, she didn't feel at ease. "No need, Tang Qing's child is not so delicate, it's good for her to have a long understanding from a young age." Tang Qing spoke confidently, and her tough attitude surprised Ji Junze a bit. He reached out and held Sanbao over, holding Tang Qing's hand. His hand was warm and clean, and his firm gaze, without hesitation, chose to stand on the same side as her. "Aunt Zhang, I will come with Tang Qing to apologize." Tang Qing lowered her head and looked at Ji Junze tightly holding her hand. "Is this guy still the Ji Junze who sees her as nothing everywhere? Just because she gave birth to him 3 children, how could his attitude change so much before and after?" Tang Qing shook her head. She would rather believe that Ji Junze was purely for the purpose of establishing a character and showing it to outsiders. "It must be like this. I want her to kneel at the doorstep of our Bai family. 3 days and 3 nights, she." Before Zhang Huiying could finish speaking harshly, a young man with an inch head rushed over and gasped for breath, saying to Zhang Huiying, "Auntie, Linglong's sister saved Xiaoyan's sister. Saved her." "What?" Upon hearing these words, Zhang Huiying's face immediately changed, and the young man took a breath and said, "Sister Xiaoyan has been rescued, but now she's looking for death again. This damn girl." Zhang Huiying angrily cursed and was about to rush home with her legs raised, and a group of people followed her towards the house with cheers. "TSK TSK TSK, even if we save it, what's going on? Isn't the object still gone? Tang Qing, this woman is really vicious." A few words ruined Bai Xiaoyan's entire life. Pooh! A poisonous woman like her should be kicked out of the military compound. The onlookers scolded Tang Qing fiercely, especially Wang Fang, the wife of a tall platoon leader, who was the most cheerful in the crowd. She was just jealous of Tang Qing. She was as fat as a pig, able to marry a handsome man like Ji Junze and give birth to triplets. She didn't even have any of this blessing. Tang Qing didn't respond to the insults from the people around her because she knew they were absolutely right. She let go of Ji Junze's hand and walked towards the direction where the Bai family had left. Ji Junze grabbed her. "Where are you going?" "Go to the Bai family." Tang Qing paused for a moment. "I think maybe I can help Bai Xiaoyan. This curse was planted by the original owner. If it is not solved, there may be some trouble in the future. She doesn't want to be held up by someone else with a hemp rope around her head. Since Bai Xiaoyan has not died, there is still room for maneuver. She probably has a way out in her heart, maybe she can really solve the problem in front of her, and even take this opportunity to develop her profitable career." "Okay, I'll go with you." Ji Junze didn't ask much either. As soon as he said these words, Li Guiyun immediately spoke out to stop. "Son, you can't go. Let her go, let her kneel at the Bai family's door for 3 days and 3 nights, and wait until the Bai family has calmed down before speaking. Ji Junze didn't even reply to Li Guoyin's words, he just held Tang Qing's hand and the two of them arrived at the Bai family together. The Bai family is a standalone small courtyard in the military district compound, with a total of 3 floors. Now the courtyard door is wide open, and there is a group of people guarding outside the courtyard, all of whom are members of Jiang Huiying's family. Inside, there are faint cries of Jiang Huiying and screams of Bai Xiaoyan. I don't care. I'm going to marry Yuan. I'll consider him for the rest of my life. If he doesn't want me, I'll die. The piercing scream made the people in the courtyard look extremely ugly. Tang Qing reached out and knocked on the door, and everyone suddenly turned around. When they saw Tang Qing, their expressions changed. Tang Qing. Do you still have the face to come to your door? I want to see Bai Xiaoyan, Tang Qing said calmly with a calm expression like water. Do you still want to mock Xiaoyan in person? You wicked woman. A woman who was not very popular raised her hand and wanted to slap Tang Qing, but was restrained by Ji Junze. Tang Qing looked at the courtyard and said loudly. Bai Xiaoyan, aren't you looking for life and death just because the Zhang family withdrew? I can help you marry into the Zhang family smoothly. As soon as the words fell, the crying in the small courtyard suddenly came to an end, and everyone in the courtyard stared at Tang Qing with confusion. She has such great ability to keep the Zhang family from getting married. Chapter 7. Ugly women transform into beautiful brides. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dong dong dong, a rapid sound of footsteps rang out, with a creaking sound. As the first floor door opened, Bai Xiaoyan, barefoot and disheveled with red eyes, rushed out of the room. There was also a deep red mark on her neck, which looked extremely frightening. Tang Qing, you didn't lie to me. Do you really have a way to make Yuan marry me? Bai Xiaoyan's hand tightly clasped Tang Qing's arm with tremendous force, causing Tang Qing to frown uncontrollably. Just as she was about to shake off Bai Xiaoyan's hand, Ji Junze took her first step and easily lifted Bai Xiaoyan's hand, instinctively pulling Tang Qing towards her side. His small gesture happened to be seen by Bai Linglong, who was helping Jiang Huiying out of the house. Is he just protecting Tang Qing like this? Yes, only when you're alive can you find a way. As long as you don't search for life or death, that's all. Looking at Tang Qing in front of her, Bai Xiaoyan suddenly woke up and stared at her with a look of jealousy, saying, It's you, spreading rumors everywhere and accusing me of having flaws and accusing me of cheating on my husband. That's why the Zhang family withdrew. How can I trust you? I used to have a cheap mouth, but now I really want to apologize. The Bai family stared at Tang Qing with suspicion on their faces. She stroked her slightly deflated stomach and said, Now that I have a child, I realize that being a mother is not easy. Aunt Jiang, I am willing to make up for my mistake. Can you give me a chance? Jiang Huiying frowned tightly and remained silent. With Tang Qing's bad reputation in the military compound, no one could believe that she would really improve. Ji Junze's tall figure stood forward with a deep voice. I guarantee in my name that you can give Tang Qing a chance. Bai Linglong looked at Ji Junze with a complex expression, but in the end, she let go first. So tell me, what do you have in mind? Can you come in and say it? Tang Qing glanced at the crowded courtyard, and Bai Linglong understood her meaning. She nodded and gestured to Tang Qing to walk inside. Tang Qing didn't hesitate either. She reached out and walked into the room with Bai Xiaoyan, pushing her to sit on the sofa. What are you doing? Bai Xiaoyan, due to her natural disability, was pampered by her family. How could someone have pushed her so rudely? She frowned and shouted in dissatisfaction. Don't move. Tang Qing pinched Bai Xiaoyan's chin and carefully scrutinized her face. As expected, there was no deviation from what she remembered. Although Bai Xiaoyan had cleft lips, her cleft lip was not severe. It was just that her upper lip was thin, which was abnormal in humans. In addition, the base of her nose was slightly collapsed, and the bridge of her nose was slightly compressed. To be honest, her flaws are not too big. If she were to be in this situation in later generations, she would only need plastic surgery and have a 90% chance of returning to normal. What are you looking at? Get your pig hands off me. Bai Xiaoyan is very concerned about her cleft lip. She hates being stared at in her face the most in her life, let alone Tang Qing getting closer. She slaps Tang Qing's hand hard and pushes her away. Her young lady has a temper that Tang Qing has also experienced. After all, the cold water from the beginning poured her heart cold from start to finish. Isn't the Zhang family just disliking your cleft lip? As long as I can make you look like a normal person, can this wedding be held as usual? Tang Qing's words stunned all the Bai family, and Bai Xiaoyan widened her eyes and asked her. What are you saying? Can you make me look like a normal person? Tang Qing, if you dare to tease me, you'll be dead. Tang Qing, do you really have a way? Even Jiang Huiying couldn't sit still. She gave birth to 2 daughters, Bai Linglong, who were as beautiful as immortals. However, Bai Xiaoyan was born with a disability, which made her feel indebted to her, so she doted on her everywhere. Now that Tang Qing said this, even if she knew it might be a lie, she couldn't help but feel tempted. Although Bai Linglong did not speak, her tightly held hand also showed a hint of nervousness. Just give it a try and you'll know. Tang Qing easily shrugged her shoulders, raised her eyebrows, and looked at Bai Xiaoyan with a hint of provocation. Bai Xiaoyan, do you dare to give me your face to try? Bai Xiaoyan hesitated slightly. She and Tang Qing never dealt with each other. Is this woman really so kind to help her? But at the thought of separating from Zhang Wanan, Bai Xiaoyan felt unbearable pain in her heart. She gritted her teeth and patted the table, saying, give it a try. Tang Qing, if you ruin my face, you won't be able to live a better life. Tang Qing paid no attention to Bai Xiaoyan's harsh words and turned her head to ask Jiang Huiying. Do you have corn starch at home? Ah. Jiang Huiying was taken aback for a moment, not knowing why Tang Qing suddenly uttered such a sentence without a trace, but she still nodded and said, yes. Yes. Inexplicably asking for corn starch, Jiang Huiying thought it was already strange enough. Unexpectedly, Tang Qing also ordered soy sauce, Vaseline, beeswax, and finally mixed together the lace towels on the cabinet, the white gauze cover on the dining table, and a bunch of miscellaneous things. Finally, she took Bai Xiaoyan straight back to her room and slammed the door shut. You guys wait first. After Tang Qing uttered this sentence, more than an hour passed, and Jiang Huiying became a bit impatient waiting. Linglong, can Tang Qing really restore Xiaoyan to normal? When Jiang Huiying asked this question, Bai Linglong was also at a loss. She looked up at Ji Junze, but Ji Junze just shifted his gaze and lightly scanned the window. For over an hour, he sat on the sofa, holding his precious daughter in his arms, without even saying a word to her. Ah! Suddenly, a scream sounded from Bai Xiaoyan's room. Upon hearing this sound, Jiang Huiying immediately ran nervously to Bai Xiaoyan's door and kept knocking on it. Xiaoyan, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? Tang Qing, if you dare to harm my daughter, I will definitely fight against you. Ji Junze also stood up nervously holding Sanbao, but the small glutinous rice ball in his arms, listening to Jiang Huiying's screams, was not afraid at all. Instead, he smiled and pointed at Bai Xiaoyan's room, babbling loudly. The door of Bai Xiaoyan's room slowly opened, and a white figure slowly walked out of the room. The slanting light of the sunset fell on her, and her long black hair was made into sexy waves. She wore a layer of white gauze on her head, and her beautiful side face was scattered between the white gauze. Her tall nose bridge, rosy lips, and especially her large eyes flowing with blue waves, left everyone in the room stunned. Her beauty is no less than that of Bai Linglong. Jiang Huiying, who was closest, covered her mouth in disbelief and tears streamed down her eyes. Are you? Xiaoyan. Chapter 8. Wedding and makeup expenses, priced at 200 yuan. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Mom, it's me. Bai Xiaoyan said with tears in her eyes and a slight tremble in her voice. Her previous screams were because she saw herself in the mirror. She had lived for 20 years and never thought that one day she could be so beautiful. Bai Xiaoyan's screams also caught the attention of people outside, and everyone rushed in with a fierce force. Huiying, what's going on? Is it Tang Qing, that little slut? Zhang Huiying's elder brother roared and rushed in, but when his gaze fell on Bai Xiaoyan standing in the living room, he was instantly stunned. Bai Xiaoyan was wearing a white veil on her head and a white dress on her body. Her figure was already graceful, and coupled with her current makeup, she was grand and dignified, making everyone who rushed in look dumbfounded. Who is she? She looks very similar to Ling Long between her eyebrows and eyes. Is she Xiaoyan? How could it be? Xiaoyan's lips are. The word cleft lip is an absolute taboo in the Bai family, and everyone immediately stopped speaking, except for Bai Xiaoyan's coquettish voice. Uncle, it's me, I'm Xiaoyan. You are Xiaoyan, are you really Xiaoyan? Everyone was stunned on the spot. What kind of spell could make Bai Xiaoyan instantly become a beautiful woman? The surprise of the crowd made Bai Xiaoyan even more overjoyed, with tears in her eyes about to fall. When you cry, be careful that your makeup will fall off. Tang Qing's faint voice echoed behind Bai Xiaoyan, who immediately took a deep breath and kept blinking her eyes, suppressing her tears. I don't cry, I don't cry, I don't cry. Bai Xiaoyan turned her head and looked at Tang Qing with a silly smile. Her attitude towards Tang Qing suddenly changed 180 degrees, with a hint of awe in her eyes, completely different from her previous arrogance. Tang Qing pinched Bai Xiaoyan's face and looked at her in the sunset, frowning and making a click. No, there are too many flaws. She made her own skin wax, reshaped by Xiaoyan's nose shape, and her lip shape was also reshaped by her makeup techniques. But Bai Xiaoyan didn't like the cosmetics at home. First of all, powder didn't match her skin color, and eyeshadow lipstick was not suitable for her. She had to make do with it. She specially made a one-time wave curly hair for Bai Xiaoyan, and then used a veil and lace scarf to make a headscarf for her, in order to shift the focus. At a distance, it looks really beautiful, but when you look closer, you can still see the styling marks of the skin wax. There are too many flaws. The skin wax made from these temporary materials is still too poor. But for Bai Xiaoyan, it has already been a vastly different change. Is there a flaw? So, what should we do? Bai Xiaoyan stroked her face and asked nervously. I can only make do today. Fortunately, the sky is getting dark, so it won't be too obvious. With Tang Qing's words, Bai Xiaoyan also breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, everyone gathered around and looked at Bai Xiaoyan incredulously. Xiaoyan, it's really Xiaoyan. We Xiaoyan are truly beautiful women. The Zhang family's divorce is not fortunate for them. Bai Xiaoyan listened to everyone's praise and was even more overjoyed. She grabbed Zhang Huiying's hand and hurriedly said. Mom, call Yuan quickly and ask him to come over. I'm not ugly now, and having a wedding with him won't embarrass their Zhang family. Yuan has me in his heart, as long as he can persuade his parents, our marriage will definitely succeed. This. Zhang Huiying frowned, appearing somewhat hesitant. Bai Xiaoyan grabbed Tang Qing's hand and hurriedly said, just now, Sister Qing told me that today is just a casual day for her to play with. When it comes to the wedding, she can make my makeup look even better. No one can tell that I'm cleft lip. Sister Qing, do you think so? Good guy. With just a little more effort, Tang Qing became Sister Qing, even daring to mention the taboo word, cleft lip. When asked by Xiaoyan, Tang Qing nodded and said, "Yes, I can be Xiaoyan's wedding and makeup artist, but there will be a fee." Tang Qing specifically added the last sentence, this time it's equivalent to a free trial makeup as a gift. When the wedding is really going to be held, she will have to pay for this makeup. Don't make this money for nothing. Her 10,000 yuan household plan is about to officially start. Tang Qing, Xiaoyan is like this now. It was your makeup that made her look good. If her makeup is gone, then she. Zhang Huiying frowned and asked, and Tang Qing nodded and said, "Nature is restoring its original form." Zhang Huiying looked at excited by Xiaoyan and sighed, "Xiaoyan, you can't live your life with this makeup, can you?" The Zhang family. "Mom. I don't care. Yuan loves me." He once said that his parents are afraid of being laughed at the wedding, so they would withdraw. Now as long as I look good at the wedding, their family won't say anything. It's a big deal, let Dad talk to them. Dad is the leader, and their family dare not offend him. Xiaoyan's willful energy surged forward again, and she threw a tantrum at Zhang Huiying. Anyway, she has become more beautiful now. As long as the wedding is over, life will be with her and Yuan. What are you afraid of? You, sigh. If you don't promise me, then I'll jump off the building, and none of you can save me. As Xiaoyan was about to run upstairs, she was quickly persuaded by Zhang Huiying. Watching the family in chaos, Tang Qing silently walked up to Ji Junze's side. Sanbao saw her walking over and laughed even more happily, his two little hands constantly reaching out to her. "Be good, isn't it very noisy here?" Tang Qing smiled and brought Sanbao over. The little one huddled in her arms, rubbing her head against her neck. She reached out and grabbed Tang Qing's finger, yawned slightly, and slowly fell asleep again. She can really fall asleep no matter where she is. Tang Qing looked indulgently at her daughter in her arms, and Ji Junze also smiled and said, "This should be like a mother." "Are you saying I'm a pig? Sleep when I'm tired." Tang Qing looked up and glared at Ji Junze with dissatisfaction. The scene of the two laughing fell into the eyes of Bai Linglong. Okay, Mom promised you to call the Zhang family tonight and let your dad talk to them." In the end, Zhang Huiying couldn't resist Bai Xiaoyan and could only agree to her request. Bai Xiaoyan ran excitedly to Tang Qing, and she firmly believed that as long as her father came forward and she became more beautiful, this marriage would definitely be successful. "Sister Qing, you'll be my makeup artist at my wedding." "No problem, the makeup fee is 200. Tang Qing gestured with 2 fingers and said, with this offer, everyone in the room exploded. Chapter 9. $100 deposit, successfully earned hands. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 200 yuan. Are you crazy? Isn't this stealing money? No wonder you're so kind. Why did you say you wanted to help Xiaoyan? She came just to cheat money. You almost killed Xiaoyan, and you still have the face to raise money. Everyone started cursing at me one by one, it's just that the price offered by Tang Qing is too high. Even Ji Junze frowned upon hearing this. 200 yuan is almost equivalent to half a month's salary. Just what Ji Junze said, he still stood on Tang Qing's side. If you think it's expensive, you can skip looking for her. Tang Qing did not explain. Today, she made her own skin wax using something from the Bai family, but the effect was not as good. She also needs to remake the skincare wax. She really doesn't like cosmetics in this era. The real good things are even more expensive, so she plans to make a whole set by herself. These things add up to a cost, and her offer of 200 yuan is indeed not low, but apart from her, no one can help Bai Xiaoyan. It's not expensive, it's only 200 yuan. I'll pay. These 200 yuan are really nothing to Bai Xiaoyan. She returned to her room and directly took out 100 yuan to give to Tang Qing. "I'll give you this 100 yuan first, as a deposit." Tang Qing didn't expect Bai Xiaoyan to be so carefree. She didn't hesitate and just accepted the money. "Okay, if your wedding is not agreed upon, I will." Before Tang Qing could finish speaking, Bai Xiaoyan interrupted her and said, "It won't be impossible. Yuan and I will definitely be together." Looking at Bai Xiaoyan's firm and stubborn gaze, Tang Qing didn't say much anymore. She put away her money and walked out of the Bai family with Ji Junze, bearing the fiery gaze of the Zhang family. Only Bai Linglong came out to see Tang Qing off. "Junze. Thank you for helping my sister today." Bai Linglong spoke out, but all her attention fell on Ji Junze. Ji Junze's eyes immediately turned and he said, "I didn't do anything, it was Tang Qing who helped." His avoidance of suspicion deeply hurt Bai Linglong, and she could only barely pull out a smile as she looked at Tang Qing and said, "Tang Qing, thank you. I have never seen my sister so happy before. Makeup is only temporary. In a situation like hers, if plastic surgery can be performed, it should be able to return to normal." Tang Qing said with a hint of emotion, but her words were overheard by Bai Linglong. She hesitated for a moment and asked, "What is plastic surgery?" "Ah, this." Tang Qing realized that she seemed to have slipped her tongue. In this era, no one knows anything about plastic surgery. But as she looked at Bai Linglong's serious gaze, she could only grit her head and say, "It's about undergoing surgery to restore her defects. That's why it's called plastic surgery. I've heard others say that you're a doctor, so you should understand better than me." "Oh." Bai Linglong nodded, but Tang Qing did not realize that her words had completely changed Bai Linglong's life. "Well, let's go first." Tang Qing was also afraid that Bai Linglong would continue to ask, so she had to hold the child and quickly leave the Bai family. Ji Junze also followed behind her and left without even looking at Bai Linglong. Tang Qing saw the distance between the two and sighed in her heart. Ji Junze was quite capable of acting, and her lover was right in front of her, so she could still maintain a straight eye. Such acting skills, even a top-tier celebrity like Ji Boyan, have to lose him by 1 point. The two of them walked together in the courtyard of the military district under the sunset. Tang Qing held the little one in her arms and said thoughtfully, "If it were my daughter, I would never let her marry someone like the Zhang family." "Why?" Ji Junze casually asked. "Bai Xiaoyan keeps saying that Zhang Yuan loves her, and if she truly loves her, how could she choose to divorce because of her parents' opinions? That's all for this love. What kind of defect is cleft lip? True love should withstand all difficulties. Even if it's a fierce battle. Then Bai Xiaoyan is just a love brain." Tang Qing shook her head, although the original owner spread rumors everywhere and ruined Bai Xiaoyan's engagement, which was very despicable. But now, isn't it clear to see the Zhang family? What the original owner said is also a fact. Could the Zhang family not have imagined this? Why agree to get married when you are so afraid of rumors and gossip? Who knows what kind of life they will have after marrying into such a family? Love brain. Upon hearing this word, Ji Junze's eyes flickered slightly, looking at Tang Qing with some suspicion. Tang Qing quickly laughed and took out the money to shake in front of Ji Junze. "Did you see that? I only earned 100 yuan today. It's not far from my goal of 10,000 yuan, so just wait for me to sign for divorce." After finishing speaking, Tang Qing quickly hugged the baby and hurried forward. She really needs to be careful not to keep coming up with some inexplicable words that may arouse suspicion in the future. Ji Junze looked at Tang Qing's back and frowned. He doesn't remember Tang Qing having such a magical makeup technique. She used to be a rural girl, who knew nothing about makeup and plastic surgery. Ji Junze's eyes sank slightly, as if after giving birth, she was completely different from before. Although he had doubts in his heart, Ji Junze did not say anything. He just silently stepped forward and took the child from Tang Qing's arms. There are still 9,900 yuan left. The revolution has not been successful yet. Comrades, please continue to work hard. The two of them rushed home all the way, but as soon as they arrived at the doorstep, they heard the crying of a child coming from inside. It was still a duet. De Bao's voice was loud, while Bao's voice was softer. Upon hearing the child's crying, Tang Qing was also startled and pushed the door open. I saw Li Guiyun lying on the ground, De Bao and Bao placed on the bed in the bedroom, and the two little ones were crying loudly. Tang Qing swept over Li Guiyun, who was unconscious on the ground, and ran into the bedroom. She reached out to pat him lightly, but the two little ones still cried non-stop. She turned to look at the milk bottle above the table, and without thinking, she knew that the two little ones were crying from hunger. "Mom! How are you?" Ji Junze squatted beside Li Guiyun, reached out and lightly tapped. Li Guiyun opened his eyes and woke up, weakly holding Ji Junze's hand. "Oh my God, I just wanted to make milk powder for my two children, but I didn't expect to have hypoglycemia. Where's your medicine? I'll go get it for you." Ji Junze held San Bao in one hand and helped Li Guiyun stand up in the other. "I've finished all the medicine, you. Go to the pharmacy now and help me buy some more medicine." "Oh, hey, it hurts so much for me." Li Guiyun stroked his waist and sat on the chair with a grin, looking extremely painful. Ji Junze quickly walked into the bedroom and handed the three treasures to Tang Qing. "You keep an eye on the child first, and I'll go to the pharmacy to buy medicine for my mother." After finishing speaking, Ji Junze walked out of the room and said to Li Guiyun, "Mom, wait for me, I'll be right back." Okay, wait a little longer." I'm fine. I just fainted." Sigh. Li Guiyun stroked her forehead and watched as Ji Junze hurriedly walked out of the room. She perked up her ears and heard the sound of footsteps coming downstairs. She quickly stood up and ran to the door, locking it in place. Her agile figure did not resemble that of a patient. What does this old lady want to do? Tang Qing suddenly had a bad premonition in her heart. She immediately released the three treasures and rushed to the bedroom door. Just as she was about to close the door, she saw Li Guiyun take a big step and hold the door tightly with one hand. "Tang Qing, if you don't realize it as a mother, then I, as a grandmother, will have to give you a push." Li Guiyun's voice was sharp, but Tang Qing's face was inexplicable. "What do you mean?" With a loud bang, Li Guiyun suddenly pushed the door open, and behind her stood a woman with round arms and thick waist. Her face was full of flesh, and Tang Qing immediately recognized it as the midwife who gave birth to her. The two of them were stuck at the bedroom door, rolling their sleeves and walking inside. Chapter 10. Are you also a lactation consultant? You are listening at novelfull.audio. "Aunt Song, I'll hold her down, you come." Li Guiyun shouted to his midwife, Aunt Song, and turned around to push Tang Qing's hand towards the bed. Aunt Song suddenly lifted her shirt, and the cool touch made Tang Qing's heart tense. "What are you doing here?" Mrs. Song gave a fierce smile, her face full of fat swaying. "There's no mother.In.Law who hasn't given birth to a baby and doesn't breastfeed. You don't have milk, I'll just rub it for you." As soon as Aunt Song finished speaking, Li Guiyun's face turned cold and she reached out to grab Tang Qing's bra strap. With a strong sense of shame, Tang Qing gritted her teeth and pushed Li Guiyun hard, causing her to fall to the ground. "You wicked daughter.In.Law, even your mother.In.Law dares to beat you. Am I harming you? I'm thinking for the sake of my grandson. Can that milk powder be more fragrant than my own mother's milk? You don't deserve to be a mother at all. No reason. Li Guiyun cried and howled, and Aunt Song didn't expect Tang Qing to be so fierce. She quickly turned around and helped Li Guiyun up. Tang Qing tidied up her messy clothes, took a breath, and pointed at Aunt Song, asking. What you're talking about is called lactation. If you really have the ability, I'll pay you to do it. Can you tell me first what kind of lactation techniques you have? Tang Qing is probably also aware of the profession of prolactifier, which may even be a high-paying profession in later generations. But if the technique is improper, it can easily lead to mastitis, and that's not for fun. Aunt Song was taken aback for a moment. She didn't expect that Tang Qing, a rural woman, would know how to ask these questions. She didn't know any lactation techniques, it was just a random press, regardless of whether she had milk or not, she would charge for each press. There were indeed problems before, but she blamed all the problems on the pregnant woman and no one noticed. How many years have I been in this industry? Do you still believe me? Li Sa, your daughter Law Ba Qingji doesn't want to breastfeed her child. If she marries such a woman, your child won't be able to drink breast milk. In the future, she will definitely be a dwarf and foolish, unable to become a talent. Aunt Song's mouth was filled with a series of malicious words, even poking Li Guiyun's heart with every word. Her children are all tall and powerful, except for the third one who looks ugly, but at least they are intelligent and have been admitted to college. She absolutely does not allow the seeds of the Ji family to be defeated by Tang Qing. Tang Qing, you can't expect to harm the children of my Ji family. Get out of bed immediately and take off your clothes. Let Mrs. Song urge you to breastfeed. Li Guiyun's eyes turned red and he rushed forward, pushing Tang Qing hard. She exerted all her strength, and Tang Qing was caught off guard. Her body swayed and she fell on the bed. Aunt Song saw the opportunity and immediately pulled her up. She raised her hand to block her, and during their argument, the sheets of the bed were pulled hard. San Bao, who was lying at the edge, tilted his body and his head was about to fall to the ground. De Bao and Er Bao seemed to also feel the danger of their younger sister. The two little ones were lying in bed and suddenly started crying loudly. The crying was so loud that it caught Tang Qing's attention. My baby. At the moment she saw San Bao fall to the ground, Tang Qing's heart tightened and her adrenaline surged. She didn't even know how she managed to shake off Aunt Song and Li Guiyun on her body. When she regained consciousness, she rolled to the ground and San Bao was held in her arms. The little one reached out his finger and pinched Tang Qing's face, opening her mouth with a giggle, completely unaware that she had just experienced a life-and-death crisis. You really scared me to death. Tang Qing breathed a sigh of relief and tightly held San Bao in her arms. Li Guiyun turned her head and looked over. With a nervous expression, she saw that San Bao was safe and sound. She breathed a sigh of relief, but soon a disdainful expression appeared on her face. If you want to raise this girl, you have to raise her lowly. My little beauty has been beaten and injured since childhood, and she still manages to raise her. What are you so nervous about? Shouting so loudly scares my big and second treasures. Li Guiyun smiled at De Bao and Er Bao, with both hands on the left and right, gently soothing them. Looking at Li Guiyun's eccentric appearance, Tang Qing glanced at Aunt Song who was watching closely beside him. She slowly stood up and carefully placed the three treasures in the middle of the bed. If you really care about her, then cooperate with Aunt Song and get some milk to drink for the baby. Li Guiyun glared fiercely at Tang Qing, who sneered and turned to look at Aunt Song. Aunt Song's heart skipped a beat as she looked at Tang Qing's gloomy gaze. What do you want to do? Tang Qing remained silent and leaned forward slightly. With a sudden force, she lifted Aunt Song and carried her on her shoulder. Aunt Song has a round arm and a thick waist, but she is not very tall, only 1.55 meters tall. Tang Qing is 1.68 meters tall, and now weighs around 160 pounds. Her strength is not small, she used to be patient, but she doesn't want to give up anymore. It's all her first time being a person, why should she always tolerate it? You put me down. Aunt Song struggled frantically in fear, but Tang Qing gritted her teeth and lifted her open the door, tossing her whole body straight into the hallway. Bang! Aunt Song fell to the ground completely. If it weren't for her holding onto the handrail of the stairs, she would have had to crawl down in a row. Tang Qing, you shrew, you're trying to kill someone. Aunt Song's shout echoed through the entire hallway. Previously, Li Guiyun was shouting and screaming at home, as well as the crying of a child, which had already made everyone in the unit heard the commotion. Now, with Aunt Song's shout, everyone ran out and gathered around the staircase, looking forward to the excitement. Seeing someone watching the excitement, Aunt Song decided to sit directly on the ground, slapping her thighs and howling. I've never seen such a wicked daughter.in.law before. She can't give birth on her own, and her mother.in.law helps her with lactation. She even drives people out of the house. This kind of mother wants to starve her own child to death. Poisonous woman, what a poisonous woman. Li Guiyun also hurriedly ran out and pushed Tang Qing hard, pointing at her and cursing. I serve you in various ways every day, such as black chicken soup, pig's trotter soup, pork rib soup, and so on. I'll do whatever it takes to milk you. What's your use? You can't even get a drop of milk. You've grown fat all over your body and can't even give your baby a sip of milk. How can you be a mother? Do you have the face to be a mother? Listening to Li Guiyun and Aunt Song's scolding, the onlookers understood, especially Wang Fong, holding her chest in both hands and speaking in a sharp voice. Aunt Li, where are you looking for such a good mother.in.law? She's offering delicious food and hiring someone to promote lactation. This woman doesn't appreciate it yet, so please advise Deputy Battalion Commander Ji. Don't take this kind of woman as soon as possible. It's not like that. On the first day of discharge, it made the house uneasy. Whoever married such a tough woman is really unlucky. Don't forget, it was she who caused the Bai family's daughter to hang. Maybe one day, she will have to force her own mother.in.law to death. Listening to the voices of everyone's discussion, Tang Qing was neither anxious nor angry. She returned to the room, took out the porcelain bowl on the table, and slowly walked to Wang Fong to hand it over. You're so rare with this mother.in.law. Do you want it for you? Come on, drink this soup. Wang Fong looked up and saw a thick layer of oil floating on the soup in the porcelain bowl, even with an unpleasant smell. There was no meat inside, and she frowned and turned her head. Who wants to drink this thing? This is what my dear mother.in.law makes for me every day. No salt, no taste, no meat, pig hoof soup, rib soup, black bone chicken soup, yes. You have made all these, but I only eat soup every day, no meat. Who pregnant woman have you seen, drinking soup every day, eating porridge with pickled Chinese cabbage? Where is the meat? Grandma, I ask you, where is the meat? Tang Qing handed the bowl to Li Guiyun and asked her coldly. Her strong sense of oppression shook Li Guiyun's heart and he instinctively said something. Of course, all the meat has to be kept for my son, you don't deserve to eat it.